So I'm Kim, this is Aaron from Edition Office. Thank you so much for coming. You can see, all right, we put together, I guess, the tall metal model. That's our little tall house that we've designed for this invert proposition. And it's, really, really grateful we were asked to do this, and really excited that it's a celebration of models, of designs for small-scale living, but also the models of those designs. We make a lot of models for our projects. We don't make typical models. We represent our work in various ways. We do a lot of diagramming, site portraits of the photographs of the context and the environments that we work in. And each of these modes of representation is kind of really critical to the way we want to have our work perceived. But having models is a really vital part of that. And we make them as totemic objects, in a sense, that capture a bit of the essential or material or emotional content of the project that doesn't exist in drawings or doesn't exist in the renders that we produce for our clients. It's a way of pulling forward that emotive context that you get in the finished project or the finished relationship with our site. So we see our buildings, or at least the models, as a modifier in that relationship, in the same way we see our finished buildings as a modifier in the context that they are, or a conditioning object between the audience, the owners, the users, and the context, the relationship those buildings are in. Come on, clicker, move faster. So these are a series of site portraits that Aaron's going to keep clicking through. I think we've got a ton of images, so I'm on his case. We try and respect, or we're trying to reflect, the places that we work in by giving benefit to them by slowing down and taking their portrait being more, in addition to the typical site analysis. Our work is, it's derived from a lot of things, but one of the things it's absolutely derived from is a very thorough, critical understanding of the wider and immediate context that the projects belong to, which we work in that way no matter where the project is, whether it's a regional coastal project and a rural project, a suburban project, or an urban project. That critical site context is the same. So there's a number of devices, I guess, we use when we run through those relationships, how we operate to those sites. In this the project previous, or this project here, we use a lot of devices when appropriate, a kind of a veil or a shroud or some kind of cloaking wall that gives the house a level of, or the project, whatever its program is, a level of singularity, giving it a kind of a tight envelope that relates itself to that context and acts as a filter or a buffer to it. In this project in Mount Martha, the project sits up on a bank, looking over Port Phillip Bay, but it's surrounded by, I guess, if you know Mount Martha or that Mornington Peninsula area, there's a lot of pretty awful 70s, 80s holiday houses, cheap by jowl, all the way along these kind of these bluffs looking over the bay. So the house has this kind of raw concrete block, screen block, veil shroud on either side, and allows it to filter out, allow the northern sun to come through, allow sun kind of breeze paths to come through, and it focuses and filters your view back to the coast and creates an elsewhere zone, a sanctuary within those that veil. Similar devices that we're using throughout the projects that Aaron's showing now. In this case, an elevated shroud allowing all the bedrooms in this house to have full height glazing, protected from, for both overlooking and being overlooked from the neighbours in this suburban site, which was in Hawthorne East. This is our Fish Creek house, which is a regional rural project, and it has a strong enveloping wall and these kind of perforated veils around it, because of intense wind conditions in the Gippsland area, and also because of the western sun and a busy road to the west of that project, which by having this veil that wraps around it, the house is broken into 3 different pavilions, allowing northern sun, easy, wonderful wind-protected courtyards into those houses, which brings us back to our tight little urban footprint right here, where we've designed, we have a 6 by 10 metre footprint, which is the limit of this greenhouse around us. We've decided to utilise that footprint by going up, and in doing that, because of the building here, we've taken our 6 by 10 metre footprint, cleaved off 2 metres, given ourselves a 6 by 6 metre footprint, and then we've got a primitive move which we'd like to do is take that square footprint as a shroud, which acts as the structural component. It holds the building. It acts as a veil and a filter for the entire house. And then we've got a footprint internally, which is our floor plate here, which is another square rotated 45 degrees, giving ourselves a 4 by 4 metre footprint, which means that we're sacrificing a lot of the area offered on this site. But in doing that and throwing this shroud right around it, we get floor area and livable space, which is extremely high quality, given the pretty heavy context we're in for a three bedroom, 4-person family living in a site like this. So the way we've addressed the site is having this footprint we're in as, I guess, an entrance garden full of plants, pot plants up to wazoo, making it a really lush, wonderful entrance threshold, a level of duration or some kind of extended duration between the car park and your living space. So you go from the busy streets through this car park into your house with your family, walk through this lengthened, extended pathway up through the kind of compressed steel enclosed stairway that winds up to our open living space. And then all of the floor plates are wide open, full height glass or Damplon. Every single floor plate is every bedroom, the bathing spaces, the living spaces have full height sliding glass windows that can be pulled away with balustrades internal, open onto these wonderful 2 square metre courtyards with suspended plants coming down from the elevated structure from the roof deck. So I guess in that proposition with this, the methodology or the tool or the shroud wrapping the building means that in the context that we're in, with buildings all around us, you can have living spaces, sleeping spaces, sanctuary, private spaces that are wide open. You can sleep with your full height glass door wide open and have those summer breezes coming through and still feel protected. And we have our, right on the top of that, I guess celebrating that tower form, our own little secluded private family roof deck on the top. So that's, I guess, that methodology of the shroud, the veil, that slippage in turning, sacrificing usable floor area for space, for a protected space to give ourselves a buffer from the outside environment, offers the potential for really high quality indoor space and also high quality indoor-outdoor relationships. But it also gives us a building which has that singularity. It has a very particular personality, which then sets up a level of friction or dialogue with, the city, its context. Again, no matter what context we're working in, we see it as really pivotal that we enter a dialogue with that place. Again, being, coastal, regional, urban, suburban. If you put something somewhere, I guess you're beholden to understand what the result is, what the outcome is of you putting something there, being it a positive or a negative change to the environment once you've inserted something to it. A city's like that. A city is the same as anywhere else, so it's important to add, I think, a positive dialogue or a positive addition to that place. And inserting a family home into the city, I guess a building of that form definitely asks the question of what a family home is, or what it means to live in the city, what it means to build in the city. And yeah, so that's our proposal. That's how we got to where we get to. That's kind of a little, very, very brief understanding of the way we work and the kind of work we do. So thanks for listening. Thanks for your time. Cheers.